In terms of equipment, I kind of recommend like packs. So what I mean by that is, let's say you're making your first cinematic travel video. You can actually do that on your phone. Surprisingly, you can actually do that on a smartphone. So you might bring a smartphone, maybe a gimbal for that phone, maybe a couple of moment lenses, for example, and that could be your first ever cinematic travel video filmmaking gear. Fits in a very small backpack or even in your pocket, and you can have it wherever you go, and you can get some really, really awesome results for that as long as you know how to use it and you have the filmmaking knowledge to go behind that. So that's kind of like pack one. Like pack two might be a basic DSLR such as the Canon M50. I used to use the old version of that, which I believe was the 550D or the Rebel T2i. I had like loads of different names for some reason back in the day. That's what I started on. I had a couple of different lenses, and you could also buy, for example, a gimbal or a GLIDECAM, or just go handheld and maybe a Rode video mic. That might be setup number two. Then you've got the more advanced setup, which is what I'm lucky enough to be rocking these days. And I've just bought the brand new Sony A7S III, which I've wanted for about 7 years, ever since the A7S II came out. And I haven't actually had the chance to go and film a proper travel video with it yet. I've just been shooting studio stuff like this and different things around Barcelona where I live at the moment. But I'm pretty confident that they have made the ultimate travel vlogging, cinematic travel video machine, because the autofocus is amazing for any time you're pointing the camera at yourself. The colors are amazing, so you don't have to have a nightmare color grading everything, plus 1,000 other things such as 4K, 120 frames per second, and a load of really awesome user functionality things that just make this camera so easy to use and so amazing in its cinematic output. Plus I already have a bunch of Sony lenses, so it just worked for me. So for example, what I'd be rocking at the moment is Sony A7S III with, I've got the 24-70 Sigma lens, 2.8 as my main lens. And this is really amazing because you can go pretty well. I wish it was 20-70, but I think that's almost impossible. So, I mean, at least with 2.8. So 24 is just about good enough for me in terms of wideness, and then 70 is fine in terms of how close I want to get. And that can basically do everything. And then if I really want to go fancy and cinematic, I've also got a 35mm, which goes down to 1.4, which is Samyang. I've also got a 14, 3.2, which is also Samyang. And more or less with that combination, I can do almost anything. One thing I would love to have when making a travel video is like a telephoto lens. I'd love to get something that goes up to 200, although obviously you're talking some pretty big size there, so I don't know how practical that would be in terms of lugging that all around in my backpack. But that's the gear that I use at the moment, and I'm absolutely loving it. I've also got the Xeon Crane 2S, which I love, and that's it. I don't currently own a drone. I've been lucky enough to travel with friends who've always had drones. So believe it or not, I've never actually flown a drone, being a cinematic travel filmmaker guy, which is pretty weird. Maybe I should, I don't know. There's only so many things you can do as a travel filmmaker, right? So I actually prefer not literally doing everything, because it kind of stresses me out and I can't focus on what I actually want to do, which is be on the ground telling the story. And if I can kind of work out a trip where I know I've got a friend who is going to be getting some awesome drone stuff, then for me it's just like, thank you, thank you, thank you, because I don't have to worry about that myself.